It's 8 p.m. Welcome to the Citi Newsroom. My name is Bobie Osei.
And I am Freme Dunyame. Coming up,
Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu indicates his office will handle only priority corruption cases as he makes requests for funding.
Ghana mourns the passing of a political colossus as J.H. Mensah dies at the age of 89.
Also coming up, fisher folk along the coast at Choco demand waste bins as refuse ravages their business.
Armed robbers murder member of the police services SWAT unit in the Ashanti region.
And also, court grants government application for an indefinite injunction on the activities of the Ghana Football Association. We have the full story. The details now. The Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu has given indication he will only prosecute very serious corruption offences due to the resources available to him.
According to him, prosecution must be based on the resources available. And speaking to Metro TV, Martin Amidu said his office is awaiting funding to fully run their operations.
The resources you are spending and then the other areas. So we will prosecute serious corruption offences. The less serious ones, we will maybe agree to reparations and other things. So the public should not be too emotional and just give the office time. And I can assure them that under our watch, nobody is going to interfere with our work. We will be as independent as possible, subject only to the law, the rule of law, and due process. We will treat crime, as I've always said, regardless of party, political consideration, whatever association, ethnic affiliation, crime will be crime. If you go back to my 9-hour vetting, quoted very senior prosecutors and things who have given guidelines as to what we must do. What we are even expecting now is money to start with.
Now we go over to the phone lines to speak to the programs manager of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Madam Mary Ada. Hello, good evening, Madam.
Good evening, and good evening to your viewers as well.
Thank you very much for your time. Now, we've heard what the Special Prosecutor has said regarding resources. Does this mean that we already have challenges even before full work begins?
Thank you very much. For as we have always said, as much, even though we clamored a lot to have this office established, because we believe and we continue to believe that it is one of the key ways or paths to chart as we fight corruption in this country, having a special office to deal with investigations as well as prosecutions of corruption. But then the key challenge has always been a lack of resources to ensure that the fight is fought holistically. Already, if Mr. Martin Amidu is indicating that he is lacking resources, and for that matter, he would be concentrating on very serious corruption allegations or matters. What is the definition for very serious in this instance? That's what we should be asking ourselves, because it is a very serious issue. And then the other smaller matters, then he would be looking at the other options of perhaps maybe recovering and looking at sanctions and the rest at the institutional level. Let me be quick to add that those are not wrong. In other dispensations, it is done where people are cited for wrongdoing and then they are required to pay back. And when people are cited, they are required to pay back such amount, and they are paid, and then some sanctions are meted out to them. It is done. But then if he is already saying this, then it means we have cause to even advocate more to ensure that the challenge that has always been the case with most of our institutions fighting corruption would not be the instance for the Special Prosecutor's Office.
Now, so he has told us what the problem is. Do we have any hopes that he's really going to discharge his duty effectively as expected of him?
We would only hope so, and definitely we have the hope that that would be done. let's remember he is working as per law, and the law clearly spells out what he is supposed to do. He is supposed to investigate corruption and corruption-related offenses of the public and also the private sector and beneficial owners. Let's remember that. So that myself and you who are citizens of this country would hold Martin Amidu and his office accountable. Because if we do not continuously prompt them on some of these issues, I believe we would not also be performing our role. And so as he goes on, let us also begin to help as well by providing the information, but also advocating that issues that go to them are dealt with and dealt with appropriately and timeously.
You know, talking about holding him accountable, now, you know the just constituted board for the Special Prosecutor's Office has your executive director, Madam Linda Ofori-Kwafo, on that board. Is this not conflict of interest? How does this play out?
How does that constitute conflict of interest is my challenge here. Remember, the act that establishes the office of the Special Prosecutor specifically indicated the institutions that are supposed to be on the board. And if you listen to the president today, he mentioned them, the YOCO, the CID or the police, represented by the CID, SHRAJ, FIC, and the rest. And in the act, it states clearly that a lady who is a representative of the civil society and also civil society that works around anti-corruption. And for that matter, Linda Ofori-Kwafo is on the board as a representative of civil society and would be serving the interests of civil society and not the interests of the Ghana Integrity Initiative. Unless, of course, you have a different definition of conflict of interest, apart from the one we know, that her duties would be conflicting with her personal interest. And personal interest here, I don't believe, would constitute the organization Ghana Integrity Initiative.
Madam Ada, thank you very much for your time. Right, so that was the Programs Manager for the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Madam Mary Ada. You're still watching Citi Newsroom live on Citi TV. We have more when we come back.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation.
Because we're giving only those in their third trimester. So in the next 3 months, those in their second would be ready to receive the kits. And we're taking data at registration, which is before they take the kits, at delivery and post-delivery, so that we can analyze and we'll see the numbers. So from the numbers and the data that we're collecting, we would know what has worked, what hasn't worked, you know.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.
Well, welcome back to the Citi Newsroom live here on Citi TV. Still staying with the subject of corruption, the Deputy Attorney General Godfrey Dami says processes are underway to take criminal action against officers of the GFA found to be culpable in the Anas Arimiao Anas No. 12 documentary. Earlier today, the High Court appointed the Registrar for Companies as the official liquidator of the embattled Ghana Football Association. The court took this decision after it granted an injunction application by the Attorney General to restrain the GFA and all its assigns from running Ghana football and all related activities in the country. Speaking to the media, Mr. Dami said government is waiting for the police to finalize investigations on the indicted GFA officials.
In the course of this civil action that we have filed, we can actually take steps to ensure the allegations of crime are dealt with by the court. So the court has the power to consider the allegations of crime that we have made against the GFA, even in these proceedings. So allegations of crime can be established within the premises of this action. So I think that he has missed the point entirely. Criminal investigations indeed have been undertaken. Kwesi Antechi and other executive committee members report to the Ghana Police Service all the time. They are still conducting their own investigations. So I don't think it is appropriate for us to say that no criminal action whatsoever will be taken against them.
So with the registrar of companies taking over the assets of the GFA, how does the two-man interim committee function?
Well, as I said, the registrar of companies' power now is not to manage GFA, not to run the daily affairs of the GFA. It is to ensure that the assets of the GFA are not unnecessarily dissipated or disposed of. So that one day we cannot say that one of the members of the GFA who are on the books of the registrar of companies act as the lawful owners of the GFA will go ahead and dispose of the assets. Essentially, they've been restrained from disposing of the assets. So the rest of the companies is to ensure that those assets are preserved and managed until the suit has been disposed of. And if the suit is determined in the favor of government, yes, of course, then the rest of the companies will take the lawful steps to then dispose of the assets in accordance with law.
Well, moving on, New Patriotic Party NPP stalwart Joseph Henry Mensah has died at the age of 89 years old. J.H. Mensah had been at the 37 military hospital receiving treatment for the past 12 months. Citi Newsroom remembers the life of one of Ghana's most remarkable politicians.
The late 89-year-old statesman J.H. Mensah saw it all from being minority and majority leader in parliament at various stages of his life to being exiled at a point, finance minister for a few years, imprisoned for 3 years and banned from active politics for a period. Joseph Henry Mensah, the third of 10 children, was born on the 31st of October in 1928. He attended St. Peter's Cathedral School in Kumasi and Achimota School thereafter, followed by the University of Gold Coast, now University of Ghana, between 1948 and 1954. He later headed to the University of London, then Stanford University, where he earned both a bachelor's and master's degree with a specialization in economic theory and development. He began working as an assistant inspector of taxes in 1953 while the Gold Coast was still under colonial rule. In 1958, Mensah joined the United Nations Secretariat at the Center for Development Planning, Projections and Policies in New York City, United States. Mensah returned to Ghana in 1961 as the head of agency at the National Planning Commission. In 1969, he was elected to Parliament and became the finance minister until 1972, where he was replaced by future head of state Ignatius Kutue Champon after the military coup. He was imprisoned by the National Redemption Council from 1975 to 1978. Although banned from political activity in 1979, he was active for the Popular Front Party in the 1979 elections. He also served as chairman of the Sunyani District Council in Brongahafo region in 1979 to 1981. While he was exiled in England in 1983, he headed a group opposing the PNDC. He also served on the African Advisory Council of the African Development Bank from 1993 to 1997. In December 1996, he became MP for Sunyani East District on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party. He was re-elected in 2000. Prior to John Kufuor's election in 2001, Mensah was the minority leader in Parliament. He served as Minister and Leader of Government Business, Minister for Public Sector Reform and National Institutional Renewal Program, and Senior Minister, all under President John Agyekum Kufuor. All the positions are proof of his very dynamic personality and a life well lived.
Now, the hometown of the late John Henry Mensah, Odumase in the Sunyani West District of the Bunahafo region, has been thrown into mourning following his death. Some of the family members shared with Citi Newsroom how they received the information on the death of the late legislator.
The late Joseph Henry Mensah was born on 31st October 1928. He attended the University of Gold Coast, now University of Ghana, between 1948 and 1954. And later to the University of London in 1954. The former senior minister of government business also worked as a research fellow in economics at the University of Ghana between 1954 and 1958. He joined the United Nations Secretariat in 1958 as an economic affairs officer at the Center for Development Planning, Projections and Policies in New York. In 1996, he contested the Sunyani East seat on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party and won in the parliamentary elections in December 1996 to become an MP. He was the minority leader in parliament during the second parliament of the Fourth Republic. Citi Newsroom visited the late J.H. Mensah's family house at Odumase in the Sunyani West District of the Bonoafo region earlier today after news broke of his demise. Some family members shared how they received the information on the death of the late legislator.
A shocking one, because we've lost a hero, a philosopher, and a person of integrity in this country. But it was just this morning that somebody gave me a hint that he has heard it, and now confirmed the report that he has said that he has departed from the earth. And later on, a cousin of mine also called from Accra to confirm the death.
Now, meanwhile, some members of parliament have been eulogizing the late J.H. Mensah, describing him as a great statesman and one who has left behind an enviable legacy.
Still on the floor, members of the House eulogized a former leader of the House, J.H. Mensah, who passed on earlier in the day. The MPs who spoke had kind words for his departed soul, and there was the observation of a minute's silence in his honor.
He was an exceptionally and profoundly brilliant economist, one of few gifted with God's gift of thinking on his feet momentarily at all times. He has made significant contribution to the economic and political development of our country. We are justified as a nation to be in grief and to celebrate his departure, not mourn his death.
President Nkrumah, the socialist, knew J.H. Mensah as a liberal economist. But knowing what brain power J.H. Mensah had to positively affect the development agenda of the country, President Nkrumah invited him from the United Nations. J.H. Mensah knew he could have earned much more within the enclave of the United Nations, but selfless as he was, he responded to his patriotic instincts and migrated back to Ghana to help in constructing the edifice called Ghana. J.H. Mensah entered Parliament in 1969 with Professor Kofi Abdul-Fabuzia, in whose government he served as a finance minister. The major landmarks of the brand of economic management that J.H. Mensah introduced included facelifting the decayed urban centers and rural development, and a shift from controlled economy to a liberalized.
So the constituency was very big, and he was the representative of all these areas put together. When the government of Buzia was overthrown and constitutional democracy was being restored in 1979, he failed to have the opportunity to serve his people again. He was barred from contesting the elections. He was a chosen candidate for the Popular Front Party, and because he was stopped from contesting, the then Popular Front Party had to choose somebody to run as independent so that the people who would ordinarily have voted for Honorable J.H. Mensah will vote for that person. So in his place, lawyer Owusu Sechere was chosen to run as independent, and he entered Parliament to represent the good people of Sunyani. So, though we were young in those days, we could hear in Sroma with Kwedu. The symbol of the independent was banana, and the Popular Front Party was a star.
Wow, Joseph Henry Mensah, 89 years old, a life well lived, don't you think so?
Absolutely, very worth celebrating. But the unfortunate thing is he's going away with all this experience and wisdom, you know. And we just lost the former Vice President, Mr. Arthur, and now we've lost J.H. Mensah. That's quite unfortunate, quite a big blow to the nation.
I mean, for a young man like me, I can only hope that I would attain, you know, the quality of his character.
Good luck.
Well, coming up later on in the bulletin, parliamentarians raise red flags over payment of $4.5 million consultancy fee for loan deal. Bringing the details when we return on the Citi Newsroom.
It's engaging, detailed, and loaded with factual and incisive analysis. It's The Big Issue, your preferred Saturday morning news and current affairs analysis program on Citi TV. Tune in this and every Saturday at 9 a.m. and hear the newsmakers discuss the top issues for the week.
At that time, Charlotte was complex. I'm not defending Charlotte. I'm talking about the way we behave like hypocrites and ostriches in this country. At that time, she was a perfect person.
It's The Big Issue with Stella Madonu on Citi TV. This and every Saturday at 9 a.m.
Tune in to The Point of View, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. as Bernard Avlet takes the news further. He will bring the right guests, ask them the relevant questions, and get you the real insights you need on the big stories for the day.
What one action have you taken? What one statement have you issued?
Well, we've been issuing statements, even this...
on the specific issue of...
This very one.
Of no bed syndrome. Since you are saying that you've heard this before.
Well, we keep talking.
The Point of View with Bernard Avlet. Monday and Wednesday nights, only on Citi TV.
Thank you very much for your time. Now, turning our attention to the legislature, members of parliament have complained about the proposed payment of $4.5 million as cost of consultancy services for projects to be undertaken with a $150 million loan from the International Development Association of the World Bank. The loan has been contracted for the transport sector improvement project, which will cover the rehabilitation of the Yendi-Tamale-Tatale Highway and the construction of over 200 kilometers of feeder roads across the country. There is more in the following report.
Parliament on Thursday passed a $150 million facility from the IDA of the World Bank for financing the transport sector improvement project. The project would involve the rehabilitation of the Yendi-Tamale-Tatale Highway and other feeder roads. But about $4.5 million of the said amount is going into payment for consultancy services, a situation some MPs are not happy with. Here's Minority Spokesperson on Roads and Transport, Governance Kwame Agboja.
As far as I'm concerned, that is a deliberate decision to make this country pay more money than we ought to pay. Mr. Speaker, going back to the report, I believe it is a good decision for the Ministry of Transport to train our children in road safety. The lollipop stands and everything are appropriate. What I am finding difficult to understand is in the era of Ghana Beyond 8, do you need money for lollipop stand in Ghana? The answer is no. It simply says and tells that as politicians, let us be held to what we say.
Drawing on insights from his time as DVLA boss, First Deputy Speaker Joe Osei also expressed his approval for the amount of money going into components other than the real construction of roads for which the loan was being contracted.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to suggest that going through the disbursement, the planned disbursement of the loan, we should review what we intend to use the loan for. I've looked at particularly the component dealing with road safety, DVLA, National Road Safety Commission, Urban Road Safety. They're a huge chunk. But, Mr. Speaker, from my experience, Ghana will not get any value for those expenditures. Mr. Speaker, the reason is simple. All those things they call consultancies. First, if it is not given to a company that is Ghanaian, you will never get approval to spend it. And the companies that are coming from outside, I don't want to make allegations, but they are coming from practically the lenders, and they come and don't give you value. The Speaker, I had the occasion to work on the vehicle testing system. I'm surprised that it is back here. What is left to be learned? We designed what is there ourselves when under the previous transport sector program, they refused us the loan, the money, because we were not willing to use consultants from UK and other people. We said we would do it ourselves, and we did it. Let us not agree to take a loan for the same thing, which will let us bring some people here who will not add any value. I recall there was somebody who was coming from somewhere in the Nordic countries. You come and sit in a hotel for 3 days and you write a report and said I should approve for him to go and take money. I did 1, 2, I refused to sign the rest.
For Citi News from Parliament, this is Duke Menso-Poku.
Now, on a rather tragic note, a police officer with a SWAT unit of the Ashanti Regional Police Command has been shot dead by suspected robbers. The deceased officer, whose name has been withheld, was on duty with his colleague when the incident happened. Now, police have launched a manhunt for the suspects, who are currently on the run. There's more in this Citi Newsroom report.
The two officers were on board a Sprinter Benz bus with registration number AC64415 when 8 masked men armed with AK-47 assault rifles and a pump-action gun attacked the passengers at the outskirts of Ayuribikrum on Wednesday, 11th July 2018. Reports say they were overpowered by the masked men and were shot alongside with other passengers on board. The masked men seized their weapons belonging to the officers in the process. 4 other passengers who sustained injuries in the process are also responding to treatment. Ashanti Regional Police Commander DCOP Akwesi Mensah Duku tells Citi Newsroom that police, upon intelligence, proceeded to Domi Beposo, a village near Manson Kwanta, and retrieved 4 AK-47 assault rifles, including those seized from the police officers.
Including those seized from the policemen. In addition to the AK-47 rifle, 4 AK-47 rifle, we also retrieved 1 G3 rifle, and 1 SMG, and 1 pump-action gun. Other items retrieved include 7 boxes of ammunition, each box containing 25 rounds, 8 pieces of AK-47 ammunition, and some clothes. We have already started with our investigation and would like to appeal to the public to assist the police with information so that we'll be able to arrest those who committed this erroneous crime.
Well, still staying with the police, the Minister for Interior, Ambrose Derry, has said that Ghanaian police officers who engage in unprofessional conduct will be investigated and punished accordingly. His comments came after about 46 Ghanaian police officers on peacekeeping mission in South Sudan were recently repatriated to Ghana following charges they had engaged in act of sexual misconduct during their tour. The report drew widespread public criticism of the police service for failing to ensure discipline within its ranks.
The criticism escalated early this month when a video of a drunk policeman wielding a loaded weapon went viral on social media. In a speech to open the second annual crime officers workshop in Accra, Ambrose Derry said all police personnel and investigation for such offences will not go unpunished if found culpable.
Let me say that we are taking steps to investigate all allegations against our personnel who went out there to work, and we would ensure that should anyone be found guilty, the law will take its course and the image of the police service will still be maintained. There shall be no compromise on that. I wish to also inform you that there are proposals on the way to amend the police regulations to provide specifically for sexual abuse offences.
Well, you're still watching Citi Newsroom live here on Citi TV. My name is Bobby Osei. We are going for a short break. When we do return, we have more stories making the world of news.
Tune in to The Point of View, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. as Bernard Avlet takes the news further. He will bring the right guests, ask them the relevant questions, and get you the real insights you need on the big stories for the day.
What one action have you taken? What one statement have you issued?
Well, we've been issuing statements, even this...
on the specific issue of...
This very one.
Of no bed syndrome. Since you are saying that you've had this before.
Well, we keep talking.
The Point of View with Bernard Avlet, Monday and Wednesday nights, only on Citi TV.
You're welcome back to the Citi Newsroom with me, Bobby Osei. Let's take our next story. Now, some fisherfolk along the coast at Jamestown and Choco want government to provide them with big trash cans to help curb the situation of harvesting waste instead of fish. According to them, the absence of these cans compels residents along the beach to dump refuse indiscriminately at the shore, which gets washed into the sea. Citi News' Philip Nilati has more in this report.
Fishermen at Jamestown and Choco, like their colleagues in other fishing communities in Ghana, are overwhelmed by plastic waste. Scenes here are not pleasant. Gutters are choked with plastics. They have piled and spilled onto the streets. Most of them end up on the beaches. In these two communities, the fishermen complained about harvesting more plastic waste than fish. Dead fishes were occasionally found floating on the water, some of which are believed to have died of consuming the plastic. The filth here has compelled fishermen to re-strategize. Refuse containers to keep the trash, monitoring by authorities, can save the situation. Government's 1-month ban on fishing activities is something fisherfolk here vehemently oppose. They argue that the fishing industry has a number of challenges, of which waste management is one.
Wọ́n fojú ẹlẹ́njẹ ó fojú àwọn bí ẹ̀ṣọ́ náà nínú ọ̀nà ní ìfẹ́ wá tiẹ̀ kọ́ ṣàṣì bíbí o wà náà bí ẹ̀jẹ̀ nígbà kó mẹ́rin bí tẹ́lẹ̀ fún ọ̀fun ọgbọ̀ ẹ̀bí ẹ̀. fẹ́ẹ́ jẹ́ tí mú kì í àdékẹ́gbẹ́ jọ ẹ̀ bẹ́ jẹ́mẹ̀ jẹ́ àmì stop wàhálà yà jẹ́mẹ̀ ní wọ́n jẹ́ fẹ́ yẹ kílẹ̀ ní wọ́n bọ́ọ̀lù ọ̀lẹ́ ànyìn o jẹ́mẹ̀ sìkẹ́jẹ́ tí mú ẹbí ẹgbẹ́ ẹ̀kọ́ nù ní kẹ́kẹ́ bá bí ẹgbẹ́ hausa dẹ̀ jẹ́ fẹ́ lẹ̀ ayé bọ́ọ̀là kẹ́jẹ́ jẹ́ fẹ́ ni mú tẹ̀lé kontra bia agaba
bola e gba ona chofe ni de ja ge bola na fi o me no ya weje wo fi o wotem gongo e fi go bola e bi sanga jo estate emi mo na ba chi asu o e bi ene No Bawana Sanata and a chins again come out no gamma motion.
Bola sure about bola mini cheesy honor no gamma shikoni what you do mini what will me but no I glalele sure about no what reiki uncommonly thing what reiki want to be sure about no of aglale then I get a lava lele echo canu agla or agla you tell me lele what no what will I mean where I wear what no te low bola.
Reporting from Choko in the Greater Accra region, Philip Nilate for Citi News.
The medical director of the Kanishi Polyclinic, Dr. Stella Jemfi, has blamed the referral of lesser emergency cases to more resourced hospitals on the lack of effective communication between satellite health centers and the major ones. According to her, establishing contact with Kolebu Teaching Hospital, for instance, before sending referrals has proven to be extremely difficult in the past. There is more in this report.
In a time when the Kolebu Teaching Hospital has refused to accept minor emergency cases from satellite health facilities, authorities at the Kanishi Polyclinic bemoan the inability to establish contact with Kolebu before referring cases there. The medical director of the Kanishi Polyclinic, Dr. Stella Jemfi, however, blamed the referral on the lack of effective communication between satellite health centers and the major ones. She tells the news team that establishing contact with Kolebu Teaching Hospital, for instance, before sending referrals has proven to be extremely difficult in the past.
Kolebu has a line, but most invariably you call, nobody picks or it doesn't get through. So you may just have to abandon the patient in the ambulance and go. And then when you go, whatever happens, happens. Sometimes you may wait hours in the ambulance waiting for them to relieve you of the patient. But because you can't get through to Kolebu, I could call my lineage to tell you. They have some lines you are supposed to call. You can't get through. You call, it's either not getting through or it's engaged or something. So you keep on and then invariably you send. A few times I've called, I didn't get through. So we just okay, let's send it. Let's see what happens. By the time you go, they'll take anyway. But so I'm hoping that their lines now will be, so they should let us know the lines that are available. Now, if they have it, they have changed from what we know. And then we'll do what we have to do.
Patients who patronize satellite health facilities like the Kanishi Polyclinic also tell Citi Newsroom the uncomfortable position Kolebu's resolve places them in. They say that the decision will cause them more harm because smaller hospitals and clinics simply do not have the resources to manage many emergencies.
It's not fair. Nobody wants to die. Before you come to the hospital, maybe you know you are not feeling well. If you are good, if you are okay, you never come to the hospital. So coming to the hospital, you come for the treatment. So if at the end of the day, you've been told that, no, you have to be referred to Kolebu, you will be happy to go because you know you will be cured. You understand? And when you get there and they will tell you that there is no bed, there is this, even that alone can even kill. And nobody wants to die. We all want to live. So it's not fair.
It's rather an unfortunate situation, you know. And such a big facility like Kolebu, you know, you send a patient there, maybe under critical condition, you know, who needs an emergency attention. And then you'll be told that, well, the place is jammed, there's no space, you know, no bed, and then you have to go to a smaller facility. And they too, I mean, the place is not well equipped, you know, and then they don't have enough medical personnel to attend. I mean, the place is just maybe an outpatient clinic, you know, so you just go and then you come. But you go to a big facilities like Kolebu, and then they will tell you that, well, there's no bed, they don't have the facilities, you know, to take in emergency cases. Then it's a very, very, very unfortunate situation.
At least you'd have to administer a first aid. Yeah, so if you are a little bit okay, then you might have to go to the polyclinic. For me, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm being treated on the floor. Yeah, because I believe my life is so much important than lying on the floor.
This building at the Kanishi Polyclinic abandoned for 12 years now, was supposed to improve the quality of medical treatment given to the people of Kaneshie, North Kaneshie, Awodome, and its environs. Initiated by the Ministry of Health, it was meant to house 2 operating theatres, recovery and admission wards, consulting rooms, offices, and ancillary units. Administrator of the polyclinic, Yakubu Amidu Kangui, thus explained the urgency with which the abandoned project must be completed to enable them absorb more emergencies and reduce referrals.
For now, our capacity is limited. But the hope is that if government comes in to complete this, our stalled project, definitely our capacity will be enhanced and will attract 1 or 2 specialists here. So what it means is that almost all the cases that will come in here, we will be able to manage them, except 1 or 2 which might be beyond us. In that case, we may have to refer that one to a higher institution to take care of. But on the whole, when it is complete and our capacity is enhanced, we'll be able to reduce our referral rate drastically.
For Citi Newsroom, ni Ama.
Well, let's stay a little bit longer on health and the associated infrastructural problems. Now, a maternity ward project which was started about 10 years ago at the Tema General Hospital has been left to rot. Despite several concerns raised by expectant mothers over the current overcrowded maternity block, nothing seems to be done to change the situation. There is more in this report.
I am here at the Tema General Hospital where this very maternal ward block has been on hold since 2010. This very facility was started under the era of the late President John Evans Atta Mills. But till we speak, nothing has been added on to this very project. The project, when completed, will bring a sigh of relief to expectant mothers who frequent this very facility. The Tema General Hospital receives about 900,000 patients, and this very facility means a lot to expectant mothers who visit this very hospital for treatment. Currently, I am told that one incubator houses about 3 premature babies, and this very facility will mean a lot to mothers who come here to deliver. So that is the situation here at the Tema General Hospital. This very maternal block, which was started in 2010, has since not been completed. Work has not been going on. Nothing has since been done. This work here has stalled for some time now. Subsequent governments have come and nothing has been done with regards to this very project. That is the situation here.
Wow. Well, I mean, we continue to realize that there are more of such facilities that have been abandoned. Essentially, we've been covering this story since, I think, Monday. There are about facilities that have been constructed or almost complete, but have
been
not,
abandoned. Yeah. But I think that aside that, the Kaneshie Polyclinic doctor also really made a serious point, communicating to inform the people that there's going to be an emergency for them to prepare is also a problem. And I think this is worth taking note of.
Certainly.
Right, so it's still live on Citi Newsroom here on Citi TV. We have more news coming up shortly. Do stay with us.
It's engaging, detailed, and loaded with factual and incisive analysis. It's The Big Issue, your preferred Saturday morning news and current affairs analysis program on Citi TV. Tune in this and every Saturday at 9 a.m. and hear the newsmakers discuss the top issues for the week.
At that time, Charlotte was complete. I'm not defending Charlotte. I'm talking about the way we behave like hypocrites and ostriches in this country. At that time, she was a perfect person.
It's The Big Issue with Sela Madonu on Citi TV. This and every Saturday at 9 a.m.
music, interviews, poetry, and more with your favorite personalities. Be our guest on Saturdays from 2 to 4 p.m. for the most exciting moments on TV. Join Kojo Akoto Boateng for real entertainment right in your living room. Saturday Live on Citi TV and Citi 97.3 FM.
You're welcome back to the Citi Newsroom. Let's take some more stories. Now, on the 1st of April this year, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, began the implementation of the Tax Identification Number TIN, which is aimed at generating unique numbers for all workers to help broaden the tax base for the country. Per the directive, the Passport Office, the Registrar General's Department, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, as well as banks, are not supposed to transact business with any individual who does not have a TIN. But how has compliance been so far? My colleague Anita Arthur has more in the following report.
It's been more than 3 months since the Ghana Revenue Authority announced the full enforcement of the tax identification number. Its implementation is aimed at identifying potential taxpayers to rake in the needed revenue for the nation. Mr. Martin Yamboriga is an official with the GRA.
Well, but the law that mandates the Commissioner General to issue TIN also mandates certain institutions, like government institutions or certain institutions, to require a TIN before attending to you.
A visit to the Registrar General's Department showed the department was complying with the directive. As the department, without a TIN, one will not be able to register their business. Constance Adumatichi is the Public Relations Officer for the Registrar General's Department.
In order to also make it very convenient for the clients, we brought on board the GRA unit down here so that we avoid the issue of back and forth and those frustrations that they will come here, they don't have TIN, and they will have to go to GRA, go and get a TIN and come back here to come and continue the process.
To make the acquisition of the TIN number easy, the GRA had asserted that it will deliver them instantly. But has that been the case? Despite assurances from the GRA to deliver instant TINs, people expressed different views.
But where I see difficulty is where you come here and then you have to wait, and then sometimes it may cost you time without seeing results, you know.
I already submitted my registration forms, I think, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that was the later part of June. And they assured me that within a week I would have a test on my phone to come back to take the TIN, but it's been over 2 weeks now and I've not heard from them, so I came to check on them.
In its initial rollouts, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority was one of the institutions that was not complying with the directive. But Alhaji Idrisu Hussaini, head of Accra Regional Office at the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, tells me the authority has strictly enforced the policy.
It has been very smooth ever since we had the relationship with the Ghana Revenue Authority. The relationship here was that we should create an office so that if I come as a customer of DVLA to register my vehicle, for instance, we must have GRA desk here so that if I don't have the TIN, GRA will register me and give me the TIN. If I have the TIN, GRA will confirm if indeed that is my TIN for DVLA to then start the process with me.
But it appears majority of banks are not going by the directive. Upon making inquiries at 2 major banks in the country on what I'll need to open an account, a TIN was not mentioned, despite a stern warning from the GRA for all banks to insist on TINs before opening bank accounts for individuals.
You need a valid ID and initial deposit of 50 Ghana and 2 passport pictures, recent ones.
So it would appear that despite assurances from the Ghana Revenue Authority to implement a smooth and timely delivery of the tax identification numbers, most people I've spoken to say they have encountered challenges which resulted in them delaying getting their tax identification numbers. Also, the GRA might have to step up on its monitoring on the institutions that have been mandated to request for a tin from individuals before transacting business with them. Reporting for Citi Newsroom from the DVLA office here in Accra, I am Anita Arthur.
Now turning our attention to the Ashanti region, the Environmental Health and Sanitation Department of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has seized expired bottled and canned drinks on the market. A task force from the Assembly, which is on a monitoring exercise within the Kumasi metropolis, detected that the expiry dates on some of the drinks at some shops had elapsed. Citi News' Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani was there and has filed this report.
The exercise, according to the task force, is to clamp down on shop owners who sell expired products. The task force has seized expired products from a number of shops since it began the exercise in January this year. Some of the offenders are currently before court, while a bench warrant has also been issued to arrest other suspects who are at large. At the Sainsbury Investment Limited, the team visited at Airport Runabout in Kumasi, expired products including bottled and assorted canned drinks were seized. The team detected that some of the products which had long expired were still on the shelves.
15th February 2017. Look at it. What that's Guinness? It's expired.
Head of Food Hygiene at the Environmental Health and Sanitation Department of the KME, Alhaji Adam Sumaila, says the owner of the shop risks being prosecuted and the shop closed down.
We come across these products that some of them have expired dates, some are what they call it erased, some of the expired dates are erased, some are bulged, some are what they call it rusted, and so many things. The store is very just say that at least it's not the best. You see all the products very dusty. So today we are here and just to carry out our mandate, and this is what we are getting out of what is really happening. But it's always difficult for one to understand what is there. So the owner of the shop, that's why he didn't have it easy with us. On this issue, we have tried as much as we can to cool down, calm down, and also at least execute our mandate.
He advised the public to be wary of expired products on the market.
Now, the forest in the Asunafo North district of the Bono Ahafo region is being depleted as a result of the activities of illegal chainsaw operators. Now, to deal with this, officials of the Forest Services Division have begun a program to replant trees to restore the reserve to its former status. Now, there is more in this Citi Newsroom report by Michael Sapon Infum.
The Bia Tano Forest Reserve, located in the Asunafo North district, is 193 kilometers square and was gazetted in 1937. The reserve also spreads to the western region. The reserve is dwindling in size because of the activities of illegal chainsaw operators. The Forest Service Division of the Brownford region is embarking on a forest enhancement program to restore the lost forest cover. Ebenezer Ajani Jablite is a Brownford Regional Forestry Manager. He spoke to Citi Newsroom.
You know, in the Bongahafo region where we are now, we have 21 forest reserves. They have all suffered varying degrees of disturbance in the recent past. And we indeed, we are seeing that the demand for wood is increasing and it will continue to increase. And the natural regeneration, that is the seeds, the drop, they germinate, and then they grow into maturity. That rate, if we are to allow it naturally to occur, we may be unable, we will run into deficit one day. So governments and through the Forestry Commission has taken it upon itself to help complement the efforts of nature by plantation drives, ambitious plantation drives. This year alone, we have, we have 2,000 hectares as the target to plant up. They are all strategies put in place by the Forestry Commission to help restore the lost tree cover. And that is what we are doing. So we believe if consciously we are giving targets, ambitious targets that we can achieve systematically for the next 10 years, surely we are sure to get back our lost tree cover.
The Brownfield Regional Director of Cocoa Board, Dr. Nee Taki, bemoaned the low cocoa harvest by farmers as a result of no trees in the farms. He therefore entreated cocoa farmers to plant trees in their farms to extend the lifespan of the crop as well as increase harvest.
For those of us of Cocoa Board, we are planting trees in cocoa farms. The trees will provide shade and it will help the cocoa to stay longer. Over 30 years, the cocoa can survive. If there are no trees, within 15 years, you see signs of rotting. So it can survive and it can produce to the best of its ability. We should take tree planting serious because the magnitude of the effect of the climate change, everybody will see it. And now, you see, when it is in the dry season, you can't sleep. The temperature is too high. So if you plant trees, 1, it will reduce temperature. 2, it will increase biodiversity and other benefits. Eventually, it will reduce poverty.
From Goso, I am Michael Saponinfum, reporting for Citi Newsroom.
Quite a serious one there. You know, something really beats my understanding. Why do we have the forest and then we fell the trees and then we put budget together again to replant trees? What is happening?
I mean, I think for me it's a lack of understanding of the impact of, you know, the way we're actually depleting, the forest. People basically, like for Galamsey, for example, you go to some of the rural areas and people are moving away from cocoa farming, rather, clear the land, dig up the ground, and they just do not appreciate the fact that the trees, will help us with regards to, global warming. Keep us warm, like you said.
Others are also clearing to build mansions and all,
Well, for now, they will be benefiting, but in the long term, we are all going to suffer.
You bet.
All going to suffer. Well, that's it for the Citi Newsroom. Do visit citinewsroom.com for more news. My name is Bobie Osei.
And I am Femedu Nyame. Have a great evening.
Good evening.